Tracy McLeod with First Centennial Title.
I'm so excited. Last time there was so much information, and I really appreciate that. There was a lot of comments, so I am so excited today to come back and re-talk about things about title, because we don't know a lot about behind the scenes of title. But today we want to talk about what is an HOA.
An HOA is, well, HOAs were actually created so they can enforce CC&Rs. So let me, a little bit about an HOA is, either, it can be people that live in your neighborhood that are running it, or it can actually be a management company, which I think more are going to the management companies these days. But they're there to enforce everything that is in your CC&Rs. And why would you have an HOA?
Well, why do we have HOAs?
Well, they were kind of put together because back in the day before HOAs, you could live in a neighborhood, and there's one in the Ranchos that may be painted now. I haven't seen it in a while, but somebody moved into the neighborhood and they loved the color purple. And I love purple. Don't you love purple?
I love purple,
but
I don't know about a house purple.
Exactly. A house is a bit much. Purple should be an accent. But they were allowed to paint this bright purple house.
Okay.
And so that caused the neighbors to have some grief, but there was really nothing that they could do about it.
Oh.
So people put parked cars, broken down cars, oil all over their yard dead, different things. So HOAs came around to enforce the CC&Rs.
So HOAs really started for a good reason, to enforce the CC&Rs that are on every subdivision or any piece of property, really, unless it's way out where it's off the grid, there might not be any CC&Rs. But is there a CC&R for pretty much every home?
They're in your subdivisions, and even in some areas where there is more property, there are associations and CC&Rs. They do have to meet at a certain time. They have to do certain things in order to actually be called an association and make the CC&Rs valid. Okay. If they don't, then they're not valid. Like in my area, I have CC&Rs, but we have no association, and we haven't since I've been there, and I've been there like 28 years. Okay. So there's nothing that could be enforced. But I have good neighbors, and the neighborhood looks good, so I'm lucky.
So we're on track. Now, to touch base of, CC&Rs, what are those? And then the HOA implements them and maybe has a little bit more regulations on top of the CC&R.
More times than not, when you're in escrow, you will, the seller must provide an HOA package if there's a homeowners association to you by NRS statutes. And the title company will give you CC&Rs. Those are covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Okay. Sometimes they're a little packet, sometimes they're a huge packet, depending on where you're at. And you really need to go through and read those. Don't just scan through, because you are going to have to abide by what is written in the CC&Rs. An example would be some CC&Rs say you have to have your garbage can back in your garage by 11 o'clock in the morning. If you're working and that's not going to be something you're going to do, that's going to be a problem. So be sure you read them.
What kind of things could they do if we didn't abide by these?
Oh, they will come by and they will give you a warning maybe the first time, and then they'll start fining you. And if you don't pay your bills, then they'll start a collection. They can do collections against you. They can do all kinds of things against you. So
something very simple can lead to something pretty big.
It absolutely can. So you just need, if I can stress it 100 times over, read your CC&Rs and make sure that that's something that you can abide by. If not, Mary, she's a professional and she knows, and she can find another area where maybe that isn't a CC&R restriction.
Okay. So when they're reading the HOA package, is this something if they're in contract, because we don't get the HOA package before we're in contract, when we're reading it, what kind of steps can we, besides reading the whole thing, this is our chance to really go through and make sure that we're okay with these and we think we can abide by them. Is this correct?
Exactly. So the HOA package will tell you who's the board, when they meet, all that information, because when you buy into an HOA, you are now a member of that HOA. Okay. So you actually do, let's say you were in an area and you had to have your trash can in by 11. If you got more people in the neighborhood that didn't like that and you had a majority, you could actually go to your HOA and you can actually amend your CC&Rs where that is not a restriction.
Okay.
So as an HOA member, if you have a majority, you can make changes.
Majority rules.
Exactly.
So if you're like
rules.
me and you read it, but maybe didn't catch one thing or two, you know, and you're in and you see it's becoming a problem, you can try to talk with the other neighbors, see if they're having the same problem, go to the board and all vote and see if we can change that. Is that the process?
That's what you can do. Now, remember to read in your association package. Every HOA is a little bit different. So there may be actual steps that you have to take that will be written in the HOA package and in your CC&Rs to make those changes. So be sure that you're abiding by what is written in that. So when you get your association stuff, when you get your CC&Rs, don't throw them out. Keep them, because at some point you might need to refer back to them.
Okay.
If there's any amendment to a CC&R, it's because there was a majority vote and that let you have the amendment to the CC&Rs.
Okay. So we shouldn't, if we do have a dispute with liking the rule or not because we missed it or whatnot, can we just stop paying it and then go get the vote? Or what happens if we do that?
You must keep paying it. You're required to pay. If you have a fine, you're required to pay it, and you must pay your HOA dues. And this moves into what is called a super priority lien. And what happened several years back is the courts ruled, and there's some division and there's some fighting and it's still some litigation going on.
Okay.
But they ruled that the HOAs have this super priority lien over your first deed of trust and your second deed of trust if you had a second, and so forth. So what that means is if you were delinquent, and I believe it's 9 months,
Okay.
that somebody can come in, let's say you were 9 months delinquent, and I could come in and pay $30,000, bring your fees, and now I own your house.
So because I didn't pay the HOA, I can actually have my home taken away from me even if I'm paying on my mortgage?
Absolutely, the HOA can foreclose on it. So pay your HOA dues.
Okay.
If you have a problem, then look at selling your property, calling Mary, and maybe getting out of there if you no longer like being there. But you can be foreclosed on if you do not pay your HOA dues. Now, that was a big problem. Made lenders all of a sudden not want to lend to anything that was in an HOA.
Sure.
Which then made your property values look like they were going down. So since then, the courts have ruled that HOAs, when they are delinquent and getting ready to go to a sell, that they let the mortgage companies know so they can bring that current and then maybe themselves foreclose because it's $30,000 lien.
Wow.
So they're working on this. I think they just wanted to get their money paid, but I don't think the courts thought through on all levels, because if you have foreclosures and if somebody buys, so you have a title insurance policy, when somebody buys this property, but yet this property has had a foreclosure because of that thing, and it's wiped out the two deeds of trust if you had one or two. There is title issues, and there's a lot of issues that go on. And so I think they're trying to work that out. And I think at some point we'll see, hopefully, that they'll get that all ironed out.
In the near future, please, please no. What if we love the neighborhood? We really do, but we have a couple disputes. What could we do not to go to that extreme and getting our home foreclosed on? Is there anything we can do besides, is there someone that can educate us in the HOA?
You pay in your HOAs for an ombudsman, and it's $3 out of your HOA dues. So you can get a hold of them, and they can actually let you know where you stand and what it all means. It's part of being a part of an HOA. So you can get a hold of that, and that should be written in, I believe, your HOA information that you get up front from your lender. If not, I know you can Google it and get online to find that, but I believe it's in the package.
So when we go to them, they're kind of saying, hey, here's your options before you get into such extreme trouble. Is that correct?
Exactly. They can tell you. And
steps to take.
And sometimes there is no step to take. I know that there was a person that could no longer afford where they were living back when the market was down, and they only allowed X amount of rentals because too many rentals made property values go down.
Yeah.
And so this person was underwater and unfortunately ended up being foreclosed on.
Okay. So it's a big deal, but there are steps to take that we can make it not go so extreme. Of course, first and foremost, you would recommend to read your
HOA and your CC&R. Read them and understand them, because that is the rules you're going to abide by. So you need to know.
If we're reading them and we're not quite sure what they mean, can we reach out? Who would we reach out to find out before we move forward with this purchase? Is
the homeowners association.
Okay, talk to them direct.
So that is how, and they could explain it further. Usually they're straightforward, but sometimes they're not. So there could be a question, but that you want to make sure that you're going to be able to live with everything and abide by everything in that before you actually close, because you are going to be required to abide by that, or you'll get penalized.
And do fees come up often in HOAs, or is this something that's kind of just a threat, or do they actually write some tickets?
They do, and they vary from place to place. You have some HOAs, which I think is the reason why they were put together, that are just making sure that there's not junk, the neighborhood doesn't look junky, and the houses are all pleasing in color, and that you don't have dead front yards and stuff. So, but then there are those that are just, you can't iron in front of your window. You have to have your trash cans in at a certain time.
There's some in front of your window.
I know. There's one in Colin Ranch. It totally says that, which is really bizarre. I think maybe somebody should have shut the window. I don't know.
So sometimes when you're reading, you might get a good laugh too.
You might get a good laugh. That is the funniest one that I ever did hear that somebody put in, and that there was a majority of people that didn't want this happening. So you have to understand, if you're living in that, that's more of a restrictive thing there. And they have people that are driving around looking for violations. So, just
saying, sometimes it's the board, sometimes it's the neighbors, whoever is in control of that HOA.
Yeah, you elect a board and everybody gets to decide who that is. And if a management company is running it, then they're kind of one step out, but they're running and making you abide. If it's your neighbors, you might have a neighbor that's saying, hey, I don't like what, you can't hang that flag, or you can't do this. And the CC may say that. So that can be a little touchy.
Some are more lax, some are more extreme. So pay attention, read that HOA package, read your CC&Rs. If you have questions, I'll be able to get you the HOA numbers that you can talk to them direct. And would they be able to ask questions to the title on HOA, or how would that work as well?
We would probably send you direct, because we don't want to interpret what the HOA is saying. And so we would probably help get you connected into the HOA. And we
get you to the source.
Right. And we definitely will give you the CC&Rs.
Okay.
And I know it's not exciting reading. Some of it is very unexciting, but it is important to read.
Okay. So even though it may be dry, it'll be in your benefit.
It totally will.
I so appreciate you coming down and giving us this knowledge, because we really need to know what we're doing and signing up for before we're in. But if you got yourself in that position, don't worry. There's steps you can take. Talk to your budsman.
Ombudsman is what it's called. OMBUDSUM or OM, I believe. Ombudsman.
And they can give you a direction of how to resolve the problem, give you a resolution to the problem, and then you can take those steps. But no matter what, keep paying your HOA, and don't not pay those. If you do get a fine, pay that fine, because just for your HOA, they can take your home away.
They can. It's scary. So stay on top of it until you actually get something changed. And ultimately, if you can't get it changed and you just decide you don't like living there anymore, Mary would be able to find you the perfect place to go.
Yes. I can sell your home and find you a new one.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I just want to say, if they have any questions, how could they ever reach out to you?
You can reach me at 775-230-0421. Again, that's 775-230-0421.
Thank you, Tracy, so much for joining.
Thank you. It's been great.
You guys, Mary Thomas with RE/MAX Professionals. If there's anything I can help you with regarding real estate, just reach out. Until next time, bye.
Bye.